Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my stream. Hi, Tunke, Alexander, Crisper, Chris, Philip, Martin, and Andy. How are you all doing? I've had a busy week. I've been printing a lot. Well, a lot for me. I've been printing Christmassy stuff. Hi, KR Barth, and Vooks, and Maltzbez. I am going to duck over to the other printer to start a couple of prints here in a second when the printers are ready. But in the meantime, I'll show you a little bit about what I'm printing. Grab a few things. I thought this thing was pretty cool. It is the Christmas tree, Hershey's Kisses or Candies Christmas tree off of, I downloaded this from Prusa Printers. I'll show you on the other screen here in a second. But this one was an early one. It's pretty loose. The person has tightened up the tolerances and I printed another one. I'll probably end up gluing this one together. That was KVP green and gold. Hi Squirrel, hi Chris. I'm Dennis. And so let me show you, since I'm kind of going through some of the things I'm printing, which is I think it's kind of fun. I'll show you what they are. I downloaded the one from Prusa Printers, and it is this guy right here, the Christmas tree. Hey, Technology Justice. Hey, Paul. So, the print is I think they did a really good job. There's no issues with the print. It went well. What's another thing I've printed? Oh, let me get this other print going. Okay, that one has started. Printed a couple of these. I think I'll have to look this one up, but this is the little twist print in place. I think Nero printed this as well. And throw some gift cards in there for my siblings. So this is Sparta glitter, their glitter fluorescent, or their glitter red, sparkle red. And the green is Fusion Filaments tritium green. And all these parts are just kind of glued on. And then this is the same KVP green as the tree, and then KVP Voron red for the ribbon. Those work pretty well. Let's see, there was a, I think I might have gotten this one off of Prusa Printers as well. No. I take that back. That one came from, I'm pretty sure, Things. And I'm not sure if I can get there on this computer easily. Let me bring it up. Let's see if I can find it. I should have prepped for this. I should have had this ready to go. What was it? Maybe? I got it off of Things. Is it one of these guys? I'm sorry, I don't remember. you can pick up Charlie all the way? He's the other side of the house. I'll have to look that up and bring it up later. And the last thing I've been printing is from Prusa Printers, and it is the butterfly box. This guy. So I haven't put it together yet, but it printed okay. I hesitated to print this. I hesitated to print this in the first place because looking at the model, all these build surface facing corners are fillets instead of chamfers. But I decided to do it anyway, and there's a couple of spots where it's not perfect, but it'll be good. My niece will love this. This is Sparta Sparkle Purple. A really nice color. Oh no, that's not the last thing I've been printing. I've got 2 sets of the MakerBot Nutcracker here that I haven't assembled yet. This is the Sparta Sparkle Cherry Red, and then this is KVP Stellar Black, and the other one is KVP Stellar Red. I'll post some pictures when I get those assembled. If you search on Thingiverse for Nutcracker, because it's a MakerBot model, so it comes from Thingiverse. But it's I think it's a really well done model. I've printed several of them. It's this guy here. So, anyway, what filament and colors did you use on your printers on screen? I like those grays. So, this is KVP Graphite for the main color, and then it's either Paramount or Nova Maker Silver for the accent colors. Yeah, Mike, you won't be able to post a link in chat. Linus, what sheet aluminum plate are you using with the Prusa sheet? So let's see here. Let's disable the motors and get the stepper out of the way. This is a Mandela Roseworks plate that I modified. I had them do a custom one for my Trident, but this is a 250 plate. I think their normal is 6 millimeters or so thick. I cut the corners so because the Prusa plates don't have tabs to grab, so I cut the corners so I can grab a tab, and then I drilled an extra 2 holes in the back at the right location to index the plate against. I put screws in there and tapped them, and now I can set the sheet in just like that. And I use these Prusa sheets on my 250 build. So the 250 Trident here, and then of course the switch wires, I can share these sheets between them. 3D Printing World, gift box number 1 is the name of the print, and it's on Things. Thank you, Mike G. I'm gonna, just so I can make sure I'm giving good information here, let's go there real quick. 3D Printing World, and I'm pretty sure, isn't this the same person that did the gift box or the butterfly box? Anyway, these are the gift boxes. There's several versions of them, but one of them is a print in place. I think it's this one. Gift box number 1, print in place. But isn't this the same person that did the butterfly box I just showed? Actually, yeah, it is. I thought so. So, the gift box and the butterfly box. Neat little prints. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Philip, I'm currently sourcing rails. Is there a major difference between high-win or CPC and cheap rails? I don't know what CPC is. The China rails, depending on the vendor, quality has gone up tremendously. That would include CNA, Robot Dig, LDO. If you stick with any of those rails that we list in the sourcing guide or are recommended in general by the community, you're probably okay. The ones I've had trouble with is buying the random least expensive ones off like Amazon for me. But most of them have cleaned up. It's just the level of prep you might need to do. So I would not worry about spending the money on high-win on these. I haven't bought. I say that having not ever purchased a high-win or similar grade of rail. Today's stream, we're going to do a few things. So this is kind of I want to do a lot of little things. So kind of a variety stream. Things I want to bring my Voron 2 here up to speed with some of the other printers in terms of lighting. I want to do a follow-up to the Euclid probe that we covered in last weekend's stream. I have it working. I think it's working pretty well right now. The challenges that we came across on the stream last week that we overcame. That was the biggest thing. Is we went through a troubleshooting process, and with the help of you guys in chat, we figured out the root cause of the problem and got it working. The other things I want to do is that fan. I think I can make it cause noise. You can probably hear it. We're going to replace that. If I bump the other side one, it's even when it's running, it doesn't do that. It's not running right now because the controller isn't on. And do the same LED lighting as we did on the Trident. So first things, let's cover the follow-up from the Euclid probe. I bought that I wanted to try it. We installed a clicky probe in the Trident. I thought it worked really well. I'm really pleased with it combined with the Auto Z Calibrate. Even before we did that stream, I had wanted to buy a Euclid and compare. Try them both, compare. So I did not reach out to anybody about it. I just went out and bought a Euclid. So didn't tell anybody I was doing it. We did the stream. The guy who created Euclid contacted me, and he thanked me first of all for the stream. And we've talked a little bit since over this week. And one thing I gotta say is he's been extremely receptive and gracious in taking feedback on what he can do to improve. Euclid I like the hardware. I really like that you have a mechanical fastener for the magnets. I think the hardware is really well done. It is an open source project, but non-commercial. So it is restricted in where you can buy it, but a lot of that, understandably, is due to sourcing. There are very specific magnets in here that have a limited number of sources. These countersink magnets are not always matched to polarity, so they stick together on the countersink side. So yeah, from that point of view, I like the hardware. It's not made to be a Voron specific probe. It's intended to be just kind of like a BL Touch. You go out, you buy a BL Touch, and then it's up to the individual groups or whatever to figure out a way to make it fit their printer. And that, I think, is kind of the approach that was taken with Euclid. But with already, if you go out there and look, you'll see a lot of changes that are kind of the result of last week's stream. There are firmware updates, there are printed part updates. All of that I think is still a work in progress. I've been trying to help a little bit, giving some feedback, what works. I think we've got the firmware configuration going well. So what I want to cover today is kind of what that firmware looks like. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this. I want to cover what that firmware looks like, and I want to cover the step-by-step that I use for setting up the Auto Z Calibrate, because I think that's the magic of these magnetically docked probes when combined with a physical end stop still. So we still use the Z probe, the nozzle end stop. So let's do that first. How do I want to start? Let me clean up my... Hi, Ansgar. I am doing fine, thank you. Maybe let's go through a full, maybe on screen, how this looks, and then we'll go over the configuration. So if I just do a, I think I can just do this. It's going to home the nozzle, and it's going to go grab the probe and do a QGL. And hopefully this doesn't take too long. Got to take a couple of rounds. Its dock routine or its stow routine, and it's going to grab it again because these are separate operations, the bed mesh calibrate and the quad gantry level. So now it's going to go through and do the bed mesh calibrate. Chris, yeah, that is reassuring to hear that click from the switch. Lars, hi Steve, what type of feet do you have on the green Voron? So these are custom designed TPU printed feet. I did not like the compressor feet on a V2 in that just they compress. I mean, they settle and it gives the printer a weird lean. So I had done these for both of my Voron 2s. They're just a shorter TPU printed foot that screws into the same holes that hold the accent piece. I'll be replacing these because we're moving to the guitar amplifier feet. There's no more concern with those settling. Is there no XX lock like Clicky has? I'm not sure what XX lock is. I think given the correct configuration, you can use the same macros and stuff between the two. They're both magnetically coupled or attached micro switch Z end stop probes or Z probes. Yeah, although so that I mean that's certainly there are, and now it's going to put that away. And now I can run because this would normally be part of my print start. And sorry, I'll continue with that quick but Calibrate, I can run the Calibrate Z function now, which is, we'll cover how to set that up. But if you run that, it's going to go and grab the probe, and then it's going to touch off on the nozzle. Then it's going to touch off on the switch on the Euclid probe. And then it's going to touch off on the surface. And then it'll put the probe away and be ready to print now. So, yeah, the macros are much, I don't know if simpler, basic, that are provided with Euclid, but like I said, I mean, if you really wanted to use the others or expand on the macros, you can. I think the whole thing with this is the hardware. I do think, without giving an overall impression, which I still don't want to do, I want to use both of these for a while. I want to see if I ever have any problems. Yesterday I did have a misfire on grabbing the clicky on the Voron, or on the purple trident. But I've been printing a ton with those, and I don't know how often that occurrence is going to be. I haven't printed enough on this to be able to tell you which one seems to work better when they're configured well. I do like the hardware of the Euclid better, though. It's also a lot more expensive. I mean, it's a few dollars in magnets and a switch, and I think it's $25 for the Euclid. So, what I did and what the Euclid folks have done on the macros to make this work better, we can go through real quick, and we'll go through setting up the John, yeah, that last Calibrate was for the Z Offset, for the Calibrate Z function, which isn't built in the Clipper. It's something you have to change. But let's go through the setup. So, real quick, let's look at the configuration. And I've got my old config, and then I created a new one, which is just a which has all the new stuff. And there's a little bit, this is what Dennis with the Euclid folks have tried to illustrate in a generic sense. So this is not Voron specific. This is their generic Clipper config example. But it does tell you things about where it's docking, where the different actions that it does come from. I've changed this based on what we figured out last week. To some of the motions I use are a little different than what's here. But I have it go to they have a pre-flight, a move to dock side, a move to dock, and a move out of dock, and then a probe ready. I don't actually use the probe ready because it just adds some extra movements that I don't like, so I commented that out. But the pre-flight is moving the tool head over above the dock, and then move to the dock side. So I kind of combined these. They're the same thing for me. And then move to dock moves the tool head down to engage the magnets against the probe, and then move out of dock slides it out of the dock. The Euclid guy is most comfortable with rep firmware. So I think that's where these M401, these macro names come from. It really doesn't matter. And I'll show you kind of an example of that not mattering when we set up the Calibrate Z. But what we found out last week was that you can't do your probe query within the macro that is checking the result of that. So what this next macro does is, all it does is query the probe and then calls the actual macro that's going to do the work. So we're going to query the probe and then call underscore M401, and then this is going to run that query to see whether the probe is on the tool head or not. And then it's going to run through all these movements that happen. If it calls this and this condition is not correct, it's just going to skip it. And then we do the same for M402 is to stow. So M401 is to grab the probe, M402 is to stow it. It does the same thing. And then there's a couple of macros that were added here, just kind of renaming quad gantry level and bed mesh calibrate so that they, hey Sanity, so that I can just call those instead of having to create another macro to call this along with all the other stuff that has to happen. So it's very, it works. I'll see long term if there are any gotchas in my workflow, but I think it's basic but functional. So that's what you just saw. All of what you just saw, aside from the Calibrate Z at the end, is all done within this. So to set up the Calibrate Z, which back when I did the clicky stream, I touched on it, but I wasn't comfortable with it because I hadn't used it yet. And I said I would follow up on it. So this is the follow-up. We're going to go into a little more detail installing it and tuning it. So we're not going to do an actual print because I don't want to heat up the printer because we're going to do other work, but we'll go through the motions. So I did a search for Calibrate Z GitHub, just the easy way for me to get to it. It's this Protoloft Clipper Z calibration. Let me go back to their main page. So I'm in their configuration. So this is a Clipper plugin for self-calibrating the Z offset. So this goes into some pretty good detail on what this is doing and why it's doing it. So it's an illustration of where it touches off on the Z end stop, touches off on, well, it's talking about the offsets. Here's what it does. Touches off on the nozzle, touches off on the probe switch, and then touches off on the bed. So the tuning that you do with this is in what the actuation point of the actual switch on that Omron switch is. So let's find out, where is the install? Scroll down here. There's a configuration file, but the install is down here. So Moonraker Updater. There is a, I feel like this could be clearer. It could, this install process. It wasn't too tough to kind of figure out, but you start with this, as long as you're in your home pi directory, you start by running this git clone command. So if we go to, I don't think I'm going to hurt anything by doing this. Let me bring the screen over. Oops. Pi at v2 green local. Okay, so we are in the home pi directory. You'll see, what do we have here? Are we in the home pi? Oh, there it is, Clipper Z calibration. Now if you take this git clone command and run it, and I'm not going to actually run it, but if you run it, it'll install it, or it'll clone it. So then you run Once you do that, you will run this script to install it. Yeah, the password is password sanity. 1 2 3 4 5 password. Then you run the script, and that's it for the command line stuff. If you want to have this part of your update manager, you copy this section here and put it in your Moonraker config down here. Then you go up here and you grab their configuration files, and there is a Z Calibration Config. So Z Calibration Config, and let's go in here, and let me go close the door real quick. That folks going to be rummaging around in the kitchen. So in this configuration, you define your probe nozzle, where the nozzle touches down on your Z end stop pin. Now, normally you should be able to get that from your printer config in your Safe Z Home or homing override, whatever you're using. If we come down here, homing override. This 182.5/252 is where my end stop pin is located. So let's go back here. That is this spot. Now it's also wants to touch down on the switch itself. I don't recommend going through and assuming, I think they have some language here. There used to be some language here that said what that value is. Maybe it was in a different config. Once you've homed, you can move the tool head around until the switch body, not the actuator on the switch, the switch body will trigger the probe. So if we go to this picture on their GitHub to illustrate that. Oops. Oh crap, I went too far. So see, the nozzle touches down on it, but the switch body, and see, this is the actual actuator. This nub here is the actuator on the switch. You want to hit to the side of that. So you set up your coordinates such that in the Y direction you'll be centered on the body, and in the X direction it's to the side. So you want to touch down on the body of the switch, because then it's going to take the difference when you touch down on the actuator on the bed to do its magical math to set your Z offset. So this probe switch, this is the location that I determined was correct for mine. Now, the X location is very similar because there is an offset of that switch from the nozzle. So, and then where it's going to probe the bed, which you just set to the middle of your bed. So I set this to 125, 115 is pretty close. This switch offset is what you're going to adjust to set your first layer height. And this is explained on their page, and let me find it. How to configure it, configurations, it talks about all that. And then the switch offset is the offset from the switch body to the actual trigger point above it. Now, a starting point for this value can be taken from the data sheet of the Omron switch. It's going to be about 0.5 to 0.7 millimeters. It's safe to start with a little less depending on the squishiness you prefer on the first layer. So he started with 0.46. Now, the smaller the number here, the higher off the bed the nozzle will be. So here, they state this here. So with a smaller offset value, the nozzle is more away from the bed. So I started here when I did this print. I started with his recommended value and it wasn't sticking. So I used what do you call it? I used my screen to move the nozzle down in small increments, and I noted how far I was moving it until I had a good first layer, and then adjusted this value, and I happened to adjust it from 0.46 to 0.52. So 0.46 to 0.52 gets the nozzle closer to the bed. And I didn't adjust the max deviation value here. Although it says the default is 1.0, I left that. I think that came from theirs. So, the magic for making this, the trick for making this work with the Euclid probe. So let's look at their config. Let's look at how the default was. If I go down here, right here we have all of these functions that are just about grabbing the probe, putting it away. So I basically just took these and translated them to the same macro in the Euclid configuration, and that's it. We could have just as easily renamed these macros over in the Euclid configuration to detach probe instead of M402. But that kind of what I was saying before, those names don't matter as long as they're consistent and they make sense. So I think that covers the basic configuration. The point where we're at after a week of working on Euclid, I think we're at a point now where I've already printed with this, with Z calibration. I've done several prints on this over this week. There is active work being done on different, like a gantry mounted dock. So I'll be trying that. That's one thing that's, I need to actually get it printing. So let me start that. There, that's going to start on the V2 on the end. So, feel free to ask questions about that, but we're going to move on to the next thing I want to do. Hopefully at the end we'll have time to heat the bed up and actually start a basic print for setting that that offset, but I don't want to heat up the printer and then start working on it. So we're going to do a few things now. We are going to replace that fan, and we're going to install some LED lights. I have the same, let's switch over here. I have these same LED little light shields that Eddie made that we're going to use, same ones that we used on the Trident here. Hi Johnny Boy Tech, I've been well, thank you. And hi 69 Pendolo. Switch offset is determined by layer height or not. I normally measure the purge line with a micrometer and I see if it is 0.2 millimeters or different. Am I wrong? You're going to, whatever your layer height that you're printing with, you're going to end up tuning that switch offset anyway, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, we are going to shut down the printer. System shut down. So I have just another 60-20 fan. So I've been using GDS time fans on these, and they work for the most part well. I've had to replace 2 now. This will be the second one. I grabbed these off of Amazon, and I think they're basically the same thing. I've already used one of these in a replacement, and I assume it's going to work as well as the GDS time, and eventually they're going to go bad. Sanity, for those filaments, you could set a Z offset in your slicer. Or you could baby step it. But if you have you can put the custom G code in Prusa Slicer per filament. You could set it there. Okay, this is off. So I've already got this panel off because I was working on the probe. I may have to remove this panel when I'm doing the lights on this side. Let's do the fan first. Pull my panel brackets off. John Pollock, I believe I've seen a mod for that. And you're talking about a dual Y rail mod. There's not a lot of room there for that and still have the cable chain and stuff. But I think there is a mod out there. One of my upcoming streams will be, where is it? I think you can see it here in this view. We'll be working on my switch wire, my original switch wire, and I'm going to replace the Y rail with the newer LDO rails that have a higher preload. I think all of them that they're selling have medium preload. What I have there is a very old one that has light preload or no preload. I don't remember. But part of working on that will be replacing that rail. I think a single rail is fine. Even with the very slightest bit of wiggle on that, I didn't see it in my prints. Okay, we are going to, this is the fan we're going to replace. So we're going to turn this thing over. Hopefully things don't fall out. And yes, I put the bottom panels on all my printers that have them. Ooh, dusty and cat hair. So this is my green 250 build Voron 2. I used a Duet 2 Wi-Fi controller with the DuX5 add-on. This combination was originally going to be for my Hypercube Evolution. Is the camera a bit out of focus? I don't know. I left it on autofocus this time to see how it behaved. So I can bring out the webcam for close-ups, but Before I started working on the Voron stuff, I was going to build a Hypercube Evolution, and this is the controller setup I was going to use. So I finally was able to find a use for this and cram it into a 250 build. So this is the fan we're going to replace. So let's just, how do I have this hooked up? I just have this hooked into one of the extruder outputs here. So I'm using my fan mount mod. Which bolts these to the I'm using little washers on there. I lost that washer, but dusty. Check to make sure that print was going okay. Zip tie to cut, and I think that's it. Okay, let's see what we got for wire lengths. We're going to be okay. Yeah, it's a little shorter, but I've got I had plenty of slack there. Whatever. Let's get rid of that. Already stripped. Are those fan mounts for screws available somewhere? I thought you used those for Trident as well. I did, and this is one of those mods that I actually have published. So if you go to Voron user mods and search for my name, I think it's under STV PTRSN, you'll find them. I'm going to use these little ferrule pieces and the appropriate crimper for them. This one is the hexagonal. I'm not sure what the preferred one is. I don't know if it's makes a big difference. I ended up just buying the hexagonal version. I haven't had any trouble from it that I know of. Max! Welcome to my stream. Okay, I'm gonna put the wire exit right here. Put this guy back on. Yeah. you get a little better view of the those TPU feet I was talking about earlier. Route this. Let me get my glasses. Route this same basic path that the other one took. I don't know if you can see. Maybe let me grab the alternate view. Prep work, I had marked the tops, let's see, of all these terminals for polarity. So I try to do this on all the boards because right now it's going to make it cake to rehook this up, but I put that in all those spots. Just a red Sharpie. Yeah, this is a 250 build as far as the footprint of the controllers. Yeah. Matthias, did you get the Euclid probe to work? I did, and I think it's working well now. Thanks to you guys getting through some of the bugs last stream. And some additional work that I've been working with on the creator over this week. I don't have final thoughts on a comparison. The only thought I will give is I like the hardware, the actual probe itself being a kind of a manufactured, more commercial style product. I think the long term, it should hold together better. It's fasteners into nuts instead of pressed in magnets. But I don't have a long-term impression because I've only had it running on this for this week and only a couple of weeks on the other printers. So the relay looking part above the PSU, this is a DIN rail mounted 5-volt power supply. So this is what is powering the Pi. So this is a Meanwhile. I got it off DigiKey. It's not really any smaller than the 5-volt, the RS25-5 or whatever we use. I just wanted to try it. It mounts directly to the DIN rail. So let me get this plugged in and wired up. Tweezers. That's the wrong size screwdriver for this. There we go. Okay, so that should, once I replace that zip tie, take care of that part of today's projects. Okay, what do we have? $69 Pendolo. What are you printing, Steve, and the other printers? On the purple Trident, you can't really see. I'm printing the gold parts for a nutcracker, for the 80% size nutcracker. I'm doing an 80% size and a 100% size one. And on the Voron 2 at the end, I'm printing a different style Euclid probe mount to try out. Philip, Euclid seems like clunky but with manufactured PCBs, and that's exactly right. It's a magnetically attached mechanical end stop switch. It just has some kind of tough to source magnets and a manufactured PCB. Sanity, just found a company that sells those with a conical hole in my country. That's cool. Do they sell them as matched pairs? I think is the tricky part. So I'm gonna have to pull this off again. I'm just turning this over so we can get an idea on wire lengths I need for the LEDs. Okay, and I want to test to see if the noise is gone. That washer that fell, I heard it hit the floor. Yeah, Max, that's absolutely true. They are, it is a hard to find source. That's kind of why, I mean, it's if you want a manufactured probe, you buy the kit. You can, it's open source. The files are out there, but finding those magnets is tough. Okay, so let's turn this on and see if we get some atrocious fan noise. Well, there we go. And it's fixed. So, good. Okay, I am going to use, if you weren't here for my lighting up the Trident stream, I'm going to use these. This isn't anything special, it's just white LEDs, LED strip. It's not RGB or anything. So I want to get an idea on how long I want this. Let's go that much of a strip. So these LED strips are designed with cut points. You have to have a certain minimum segment. You can't cut it in between these points, and it's where the contacts are. So you can cut it at any one of these and it will function. This is a 24 volt strip. I'm going to cut two of these, one for each side of the printer. looks like I happened to hit one of their factory joints, so I'm not going to cut that. I'm actually going to desolder that, I think. I'm at the exact point there, which is kind of funny. So let's heat that up and let Charlie in. Coming in, Charlie? There we go. We'll get an early Charlie visit. No magic smoke. Nope. Ansgar, hey Steve, are you interested in a power relay module for power savings? I would like to see some upgrade what works on Voron with Clipper. Maybe it's a stream build someday. Potentially. I have one of these, where are they? I have some power meter thing that has some Moonraker compatibility that I haven't hooked up yet. It's a TP-Link something. I just haven't had time. Philip, I'll show you how we're going to hide the wires. At least I hope it's going to work like similar to the Trident. I've got a plan. What'd you buy yourself, Max? Tensions and a zip tie tool? Is that what it is? Okay, Charlie. I gotta bring the soldering iron out. Okay. All the tools out. Let's see what we got here. So, right here, let's pull this out a little more. Right here is a natural joint in the strip, so I'm just going to try to just simply, actually, take my cutters and cut the adhesive behind it so that doesn't hold it in place. And use some fresh solder to help the heat transfer. And then what else do we have? Oh, the actual adhesive. There we go. James Mackey, are you converting the 2 to Stealth Burner? I absolutely will be putting a Stealth Burner setup on this printer. I have it running on 1, 2, 3, 4 of my printers now, but I'm waiting on this one because this will be the content machine for installing all of the 2.4 Rev 2 parts on that I've talked about before. Renee Draz. Renee, I came a little late to the stream. You mentioned the TPU feet for your Trident. They are not in the STLs for the Trident, are they? I didn't do TPU feet for the Trident. I did TPU feet for the Voron too. I really recommend these. Okay, I thought I had one right here. These guitar amplifier feet. I really thought I had them right there. I don't know where they are. So basically open beta is next weekend. Open beta for what? Open beta for Stealth Burner is sometime before Christmas. Okay, let's get this moving. Let's just go ahead and turn this off again. And just run some wires. So I just have 24 gauge PTFE, this is Remington wire. And I'm gonna put a connector in this back corner. So I just have to get there, and then the pi is on this side. The Duex, I'm gonna use one of the extra extruder outputs on the Duex to control them. So I don't have a very long run here. I'm gonna go here to, let's just say about there. Just call that good. So we're going to do that, and then a red wire. How many machines total have I in my workspace? I think I'm at 10 or 11 right here. Sanity, you absolutely don't need PTFE wire for this. It's what I have, so that's what I'm using. Hi, you can't be serious. Hi, Tracy. Okay. These are the little LED holder light shields that Eddie came up with. And I think I'm going to mount them to the underside of the extrusions. On the Trident, I installed them to the inside. And I think at some point I might move them to the underside, because at X min and Y moves, the PTFE tube rubs along them. I don't think it's hurting anything, but it's annoying. So I have two sets of these. They're mirrored to each other. So I'm going to put this to where the shield is to the front of the printer. And we're just going to install these. Just up here like this. And they just snap into the extrusion. So Max made a comment, when you have 500 feet of PTFE, why not use it? I finished my 500 foot roll. It got used up. This is a 250 or 150 something foot roll that I'm working through now. What are your top 3 printer mods for the Voron 2.4? Matthias asked. I don't know if I have 3, and I see some mentions of the MGN12X, but that's standard on Trident and is going to be standard here, so let's not consider that a mod. I like my fan mounts. I'm a little biased. And I really like, and I'm going to say a generic term of, I'm liking the magnetically attached or docked or whatever Z probe. I like the Z Calibrate, the Z calibration that you can do. That's right there, has made the biggest difference probably in my actual printing. Dan Dronu, why Afterburner and not Stealth Burner? Because that's what this had and I haven't upgraded it yet. But I will be. Let's see where we're at on length here. We got another 2 to go. Heresy incoming. Okay, so this is gonna go here, and then I need some short lengths of wire to get to wherever I put the connector here. So I'm gonna go in here to there. I'm gonna go to probably about there. Then let's get this one wired. Where'd my wire strippers go? There they are. Hobbyist notes, it tilts it, I think, at a 45-degree angle. You can see the end there. I'm going to start with tinning the end of these short PTFE wires. Whatever. Is that actually a good view? Let's try that. Also just that. I need a solder fume thing. This is labeled plus 24 volts on that side. So we'll just do that. And grab the other one. Nice shiny solder joints. We're good. Yeah, these are 24 volt. It's a 24 volt strip. So I have a question for the crowd on Nevermore that looks really interesting. How big of a deal is it, the change interval on the media? A T100 you spy. It's my old school Weller WES 51. Oh, that's fully leaded, I think. Sanity. I've had this spool of solder for probably 15 plus years. Oh. Oh, repeat the question. So on the Nevermore, on these filter setups, they use a carbon activated filter median. It's got a change interval that I feel is pretty short. I think it's like 60 hours of printing or something that you have to replace it. How big of a deal is that? So, this guy? I really like this, and I've got the heat set insert tool and everything. Okay, so similar to on Trident, we're going to, as much as I hate them, they work really well for this. We're going to use DuPont connectors to connect this. I'm really pleased with the way that turned out, so we're going to continue that. So if I just did something like that. Knock things off the floor. Okay, so we're going to if that's something people want to see, I can print out the stuff and do an install. I'll have to do some research on it. We are going to use a 4-pin connector for the controller side and two 2-pin connectors. Now I covered this before on the Trident stream when I installed lights on it. This I think is the most compact way I'm going to have to plug 2 light strips into the controller. So I've got 2 different, so now I'm going to change the pins to set the polarity on this. What do you do with 10 printers? I do not run PIF, although, I mean, realistically, I won't. But it would be a good idea considering the collection I have. But a big thing is I have a very wide selection when I want to try something. I can try 3 different things and still have a printer that's working. Or several printers. I still want to do an ERCF. I would like to highlight the well done mods on this channel and the install for them. I think Clicky is well done. I think Nevermore is getting, or Nevermore sounds like a well done. I think Euclid is getting there. I think the stuff around it needs some work. The device is well done. The support around it is in progress. What else did I like? I think the screen mod here. I like the design that the person who made this. It flows well. I think it's well done. So well done mods I'd like to highlight on here. I don't have the correct crimper for this either, Max. I just kind of wing it. ERCF, I mean, if you consider it a mod, it's very well done, and I want to do it. Let's see. I want to duplicate what I did on the Trident as far as wiring configuration. So I need to figure out what polarity this is. So this would be a female terminal on the red. I'm just using my iWis 2820s to crimp these. And if I use the widest spot first, it kind of gets it in the right spot, and then I progressively move down to kind of form it to the size that it needs to be. I don't know if that focused in time, but if I use the widest spot of the tool, then it seems to grab them and put them in the right spot. So what I'm doing here is I did both types of terminals here, the male and female pin. That way I don't accidentally plug them in wrong, and I did that backwards of what I really wanted, because on the other side I want the grounds to be the pin, and so I did this backwards. I did it backwards because I don't want, on the controller side, I don't want the pin to be on a positive. I don't want that has a higher risk of shorting out. So I need the pin, the male terminal. Male terminal on this side needs to be positive. I'm just kind of looking over at the Trident because I want this to be cross-compatible between them. So I'm just placing the pins in the 2-pin connector here the same way. then just putting a slight twist in there just to control the wires. Now this will slide up in there and connect right over here. So kind of other side. What do we have here? Are there any videos installing the Omron probe to the Octopus 1.1? I don't know. I covered installing, I used an Octopus 1.1 in the Orange Trident build. So in that series, I covered the wiring on that. I couldn't tell you what timestamp it was though. Yeah, who's that? Hobbyist Notes. Problem with Nevermore, you have to make sure you use the proper carbon, otherwise it'll corrode. So there's acid. Is it acid in some sort of acid in some of the carbon pellets, and you want to make sure you get the acid-free ones. Someone correct me if I don't have that quite right, because I've only done the preliminary research on it. The other side. Bye-bye. Loaf, they are the standard ones. Maybe it's technique. So you want to, as you're loosening them, that hammerhead nut is going to flip around and making sure that it stays loose as you're or stays centered on the extrusion as you're loosening it. The tip is to put a little bit of Loctite on the screw when you do those, and it will help force that hammerhead to turn. I've not actually done that though. I've just read that. Yep, that's correct. Okay, wire length. We are going to go we're going to go from here. We'll go to here. Let's move this around this way. To here. To about there. So we're going to do that for wire length on this side. out of the way. Iron heat up. This is the one that was joined. Let's see where we're at. We're at 24 volts on this side. Let's put some fresh solder on here. The solder they used must be lead free or something, because that's a shiny joint and then it goes dull. It's probably some lead free crap they put on there. But those are good joints. Let's see. Will that cable chain interfere with the lighting when the printer is near maximum height? That's a good question. I absolutely never print at max height, but let's slowly. Oh yeah, but I don't think it'll. Well, yeah, it will absolutely. It will. I don't care, but that's a good point. I appreciate that. You could install them to the inside just as easily. I'm gonna leave them, but you're absolutely right. That would hit. But what's my Z height right now? Just a estimate. We're at like 200. Yeah. And this should be the lock side here to force this to stay down. I switched it on the other one, but I haven't switched it on this one. LNB, so that is absolutely true. It will hit. I may change it later, but we will continue. Yeah, I'm going to continue. I may change it later though. put a little bit of twist on this. Philip, I do not have a fan there. I don't have a filter element in there either. It is a big giant heat leak out the back. Okay, so a little bit of twist in this. I'd like to get a little more. John, you probably could. There's definitely room to shave that. There's two things I should do. Is I should switch the fixed end to this, and that'll hold the cable chain down, and then theoretically I should just move them to the inside, because then the limiting factor is the extrusion. But like I said, I'm not too worried about it. I should pull out my drill and take care of this, but I'll just leave it. Both of those went in there nice and smooth. Okay, so I am using, let me see where they are. Similar to on the Trident, I am going to use the Open Builds extrusion slot covers. I bought these from Open Builds. They're just a little, whatever kind of plastic this is. I'm just going to use those to hold the, you can find printed versions of this. Use that to hold the wire out of the way. On the other side here, I'm going to run this over the PTFE tube, but up under this, in this slot here. I'm not going to run one long piece. I'm going to stitch it together with shorter pieces of this. So I'm just going to use just a PTFE cutter here. And then all that'll do is hold it up out of the way. You'll never see it. And both of those are going to be in the corner right there. I buy this in 1 meter lengths, so stuff all over the place. That is good there. Now we need to do the other side of the harness. So with this 4-pin connector, I need to jumper 2 of the pins. So I just need to make some short jumpers. So these will be the male pin. Just cutting this thing really short. Now this is going to go I think here and here. Oh, that's what I did. That's what I did. I forgot. Crimp 2 wires into one of these. And take my other length here. I'll show you a close-up of this here in a moment. So I make a little harness here, and this is tight in this little connector, but it works. There we go. So here we make the little loop. And we'll do the same with the positive side. Now notice the exposed wires are the ground, so what do we have here? Do you ever recommend the clicky probe over the Euclid or vice versa? Not yet. Great Bajowski. I won't make a recommendation. I'm too new to both of them. I've got both of them installed. So I don't want to make a actual recommendation or preference. I don't think I'd ever recommend, maybe express my preference. But I'm not ready to do that yet. Thank you, Tomas. I appreciate that. Sanity, the Auto Z I did have set up. I don't know if maybe you came in right after that. I have the Auto Z Calibrate set up, and I showed how to make that happen. Hey, Steven, I switched it. I don't know. I think I started with the one way and then I realized I made a mistake, so I switched the male and female. So I've got male pins on the positive side on this side. So I'm going to use female pins for the positive side on this side. Where was I? Sanity, I've thought about memberships. I'm not sure yet. I'm going into this slow. So I don't want to make it a big deal. I want to do things right and appropriate. So I need to educate myself on what options are available and how that affects me and you guys. So I'm not terribly concerned about it. So there's no real hurry. Okay, so now this should go right in there with a little persuasion. Much persuasion. These are tight. I'm still not the biggest fan of DuPonts. Maybe it's just these Amazon special DuPonts, I don't know. It needs to go in further. Almost there. There we go. I'm not using these exactly as they should be. There. Okay, so that is, let's see if that'll focus. I can't see if it's focusing because I got the wrong glasses on. Here's our little harness. you do memberships, you would like a bumper sticker and a keychain, please. I probably, unless you're okay with Charlie's head, I probably need to come up with some sort of logo. Yeah, exactly what Sandy's saying. Okay, I am going to twist this wire a little more effectively than I tried on the other one. Oop, missed a wire. Yeah, I'm just gonna do that. See? I got a nicely easy to manage wire. Little cat hair insert. Okay. I don't want to do this, but I think I have to. This is where I initiate a bunch of where can I get that file questions. I gotta have a way to get this wire into the deck. So that one's being stubborn. There we go. I made a mod, a very minor mod. So let's see if we can do this without taking the exhaust housing, filter housing off. You know what, someone asked me before on if this being open. I'm remembering I actually had a fan there that gave some level of little bit of extra closing, but I think I grabbed that fan because I needed to replace one on another printer. Slide this down and out of there. And I'm going to run this wire down this side of the printer, and I'm going to use that OpenBuild's extrusion slot stuff to make sure that it can't rub on the gantry as the gantry is moving up and down. But how do you get it into the deck? I could drill a hole in the deck panel, but I'm going to do what Lars is mentioning. I modified a part. So I added a hole in the corner, and I also extended these little shields here to help prevent any possibility of that wire rubbing on the Z belts. Pretty much what Lars just said. So let's pull this out. So this is the, and it looks like I used two different silvers. I think that's the difference between Nova Maker. So one of these is Nova Maker. I think this is Nova Maker silver off Amazon. This is Paramount silver. Slight difference. This is one of those things, Sandy, that really needs to make it into a repository that I set up for my tweaks and mods. So this should go in here. And I have not tested this in the slightest. It is a tight tight fit. That shield that I put in there might not have been the greatest execution. So this side of that shield is interfering. I'm going to put a little cut there because it's not as important. Just modify it a little bit. I think it'll install easier, and this is the side that's important anyway. Yep, that did the trick. Is not threading into the... There we go. Ah, it's stuck. Okay. So should be able to run this. Let's run it through this side. Linking it in. Where are we going? There we are. Okay. I had to make sure that it was going above the stepper. Sanity, thank you. Steve Tweaks and Mods Repository Fund. Well, it's going to be GitHub. It's free. But I still very much appreciate it. I'm going to kind of tweak. So apparently this is really tight right here. So gauge of wire you use is going to affect how easy that is. This goes here. And then let's plug these in. One, and all the polarities are staying correct, so I did that right. So I am going to take a little piece of this. And then we're going to take a longer piece here. So I think it's important to make sure that this will never interfere with the gantry. So a longer piece of this channel covering is warranted. But you can start above this and slide it past the, here, let me see if I can get a better angle for you. So you see I've got it started there, and I'm just kind of sliding it past the now all of that is in there, and there's no way that that's ever going to interfere with the gantry. And then that's nicely tucked in. You'll barely be able to even see that, especially with the black background. All of this is tucked in place. Obvious notes, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Now I know better than to put this. Hi, Killer Prince. So we're doing a few things. We did a recap and follow up on Euclid probe. We fixed that noisy fan from last stream, and I'm installing LED lighting on this. So that, I don't think so, Sanity. The rail stops here. I could be wrong. I think, well, let's find out. So my cable chain is interfering before this would. If this was going all the way up, it's so at max even. Yes, it is. I could move that all the way to the top. You guys are very good at finding these little issues, and I appreciate that. For my particular build here, it's not going to matter, so I'm going to leave it right there. But it's a good thing to keep in mind. They're not high enough, but my cable chain will interfere before that interferes. Very easily, we could flip this around to the front side. No, not at all. If you guys didn't point that out, then someone might be coming through here and watching this later and not catch it themselves. So while I'm back here and the back cover's off, I'm going to get rid of the little bits of accumulation. Okay, this is there. I'm not going to put the back panel on because that'll just guarantee that I have to redo something. So let's pull it. What did I lose? Got those still there. That's what was causing problems. Matthias, is it a myth or a fact that moving steppers too fast can destroy a motherboard drivers? I would have said it's supposed to be a risk that you take. What's his name? What channel was that? Practical Proper Printing? Is that it? Proper Printing? That guy's funny. But, he tried to get one to fail doing that, but I still wouldn't try it. Okay, here is my wire. It is coming from there, and I'm just going to take it to the DuX and run the LEDs off of one of the extra extruder outputs. It'll have plenty of current capacity. So I only need about yay much wire. About 6 inches of waste. That'll go in my extra wire bin. Let's see. These. This. Strip the wires. Where are we at? One of these days I'm going to drop that bin of ferrules, and I'm actually going to cry. Let's see if I can route this through so the existing wire kind of holds it in place. So we are going to go E5 heater. This is what I'm going to plug this into. E5 heater, we'll remember that. And I've got my little red Sharpie marks there. Where did my tweezers go? There they are. This being a 250 build with this duet setup in here is very, very tight. There we go. Polarity correct. Remember that E5 heater. Steve, after building my V0.1, I have been thinking of trying to help out with manual stuff, which I enjoy doing anyway. Can you recommend how someone might do that? I would be on the Discord and have received your serial for your V0.1 and go from there. We are always looking for folks that are willing to be helpful in a constructive way. Wago connectors are safe. Yeah, used properly, Wago connectors are safe. What do we have? Any other questions? Anything else we need to do down here? We remember E5 heater. It's plugged in. The fan's working. I don't think we have to do anything else in here. So let's button her up. LEDs are in. E5 heater. Mitchell, welcome to the stream. Okay, bottom panel is buttoned up. LEDs are on. I'm not going to throw all Okay. Well, the panel's on yet. No, end stop pin is in place. Euclid probe stayed in place. I did lose something, I remember. I don't know what though. Hopefully I don't find out in some tragic way. Hi Juan, welcome to the stream, and thank you. From Spain. Washer, it hit the floor, some washer. Yeah, I dropped a washer earlier, but I think I know what Sanity was talking about. I had something fall, maybe it was a side panel clip, yeah. Maybe it was something. I don't see anything that would be drastic. Probes in place, end stop pins in place. Let's do some LED configuration. So let's switch over, not to that one, to this one. We can reconnect. Okay, let's get rid of some of these. Let's go here. And I want to find my Duet E5 heater pinout. I think the way I'm going to do this is Clipper Duet to config, because I think it's in here. So this is the example configs from the Clipper site, and I think we can find the E5 heater. E5 heater is, for the heat pin, is PC11. If you see that. So heaters and thermistors, E5, PC11. We're not going to use the temperature thing there. So PC11 is all we need to know. And I try to go through kind of, there's no way to remember all this stuff, right? So what I hope one thing folks get out of my streams is I try to go through, I don't just know where everything is. I have an idea of how to search for it and what I'm looking for, but not that immediately I know exactly this is PC11 on E5 heater or whatever. So I know that Clipper maintains a list of basic configs for all the boards that it supports. So I knew to search for Duet 2 Clipper config and that information would be here. Now I've already set this up on the other Vorons, so let's just go to the VT orange. I'm gonna grab the config snippet from here. I think I have it, where did I put that? Probably here. Yes, so my LED strip, I just have an output pin set, and all it does is, and we'll look at the Clipper options for this, but I'm just going to grab that to make it easy. Reconnect here, go to my configuration, and we're just going to go down here somewhere where it makes sense. Something beyond all the main configuration. Maybe just past the heaters and stuff like that. Let's put it in here after the heater bed. There we go. And someone wrote that down for me in chat. PC11. Okay, so that sets up the output pin. Now we need a way to control it. So I need a couple of macros that I had set up from here. So this is super simple. G-code macros, setting pins on or off. That's all it is. We're going to copy those and come down to our, let's just put it right below that so it's nice and easy to find later. And that is all. So this is, we're calling that output pin LED strip. It's controlling pin PC11. We are going to use a macro. LED off just sets that pin LED strip to 0. Turning it on sets it to 1. Save and restart. Oh. And we've got lights. Now it defaulted to on. So let's find out what we need to do. Here, let's do this. Yeah, bright. Should be able to find, I need to clean up my macros. LED off should turn it off. Well, I've got something weird about the, so it's not turning off at all. I made an assumption that I could use a heater pin for this and just turn it on and off. This is not behaving the same way on the Duet board as it did on the other controllers I have. So what do we do to fix that? What is different about the Duet? Let's look at the configuration, and if anybody has any ideas, so if I go to configuration, go to printer, edit this. Let's go down to that config and see what's going on, because that turned on immediately. Why did it do that? It shouldn't have. So we've got a value of 0. We're setting our initial value of 0. Connected ground and power to heater 5, extruder 5 on the DoX controller. Oh, do I have to change that to, no, it's just a pin. There's no. Let's try this. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm waiting for confirmation if anybody can hear me. Can hear me. I don't know what happened because I didn't hit mute. I didn't do anything. The sound was coming from my cam link. Yeah, can you hear me now? It is a different mic now. I don't know what happened here because I didn't change anything. And then I've got the whole mono thing and all that. Hopefully this isn't too terrible. Let's. Loud pop, then mic died. Okay, I'll have to investigate that. But Paul, thank you very much. It was just the inverted pin. Actually, let's go. Oh, the mic, the camera died altogether. So that's the. Did it turn off? Okay, I know what happened. We got this back. Let me switch this back. Let me switch this back. I think this is it. Can you hear me? No, I know what happened. Let me get a confirmation that I can be heard. So the sound should be back to normal. I have set the timeout to turn off on the new camera, but the timeout switched. It just turned off. So I'll figure that out, but at least we know what happened. Here we go. We have got LED off, LED on. Paul was absolutely right. Thank you, Paul. The inverted pin, but it didn't behave like I would have expected. If it was just inverted, it should have started on, and when I hit the LED off macro, it would have turned off. It just dimmed. So I don't understand enough to be able to explain that, but the inverted pin was necessary to make this work correctly. So LED off, LED on. Woohoo! Update the clipper screen new interface. Is there a new interface? Mike person? There's a new interface. I've got the latest. Oh, is it different? No, it looks like my other ones. Here, let's switch back here. Okay, so that works. Awesome. I gotta shut it down and put the panels back on. So while I do that, just try to pay attention to chat. Anything's, I think it's ready. Martin the Engineer, main cell beta. Yeah, I want to try that. Has a new interface and time lapse. That reminds me something. I saw let's turn this off. I saw a user mod come through that I thought was going to be really neat and handy. So I bought a camera. So it was a mount for this, what I thought was a really neat little form factor for a camera. So I bought one. Nope, it's not that box. It's a Waveshare, what is this? OV5648 5 megapixel camera. And I thought this was like the perfect form factor to put up in the front here. And I was notified of this by a user mod. And I don't remember the guy's name, but I printed out the part. And I realized, I think, unless I'm missing something, I've asked the person who modified it. I printed this out. It's like the angry camera mod. The intent is to run this camera wire through this hole to plug into the camera here, and then you can set it up in the extrusion and point it wherever you need. The problem is, once you run that wire through here, you have no way to actually affix this to the extrusion. So I think I'm going to still use this camera, but I don't think this mount is going to be the one. Unless I get corrected and I'm doing it wrong. I think that that's a good form factor because it's pretty low profile. That particular mount, I'm waiting to hear back from the person who designed it. Maybe I'm looking at the intent wrong and I'm not seeing it. But that's a future content that was going to be today. I was hoping to do it today, but we'll see. Let's put the back panel on first. Got the foam strip. Not liking its spot right there. The rest of it looks pretty okay. don't think Charlie goes back and forth between the house and the garage nearly as often when the door's left open. I think it's actually a game he plays. I have a couple of regular Raspberry Pi cameras too. I need to do the little Loctite trick, I think. Getting these to... Yeah, exactly, Steven. Getting these to twist can sometimes be a challenge. Why isn't that one twisting? The whole thing needs to be correctly. There we go. Hey, Dark Neutrino. Yes, I don't really have anything specific for you. I really recommend try not to fall into the trap of feeling like you have to mod or you have to do this or that. The builds as they're provided will result in a well printing device. There are a lot of very cool and very useful modifications out there, but try not to get caught up in letting that delay your build. Like I said, I've said this before I started working on Vorons, I wanted to build a Hypercube Evolution. And the community around that is so mod focused. There's almost nobody that builds that thing as it's provided. And I got caught into that. I was constantly redesigning every little aspect of it and never actually finished the build. So I would recommend it. Feel free to mod it, but get it to a point where you can actually print with it. See what you feel might need to be changed for your particular preference or whatever. When I built my first Voron, I kept the modifications to a very minimum. I did these bolted in fans, and I think that's it. Is this square? Oh, okay. Am I happy with the GE5C Z joint mod? Yes, it works. I don't know if... I installed that on this printer quite some time ago. I would have to refresh my memory on what I think might need to be tweaked before it would be something for a general masses. I have the GE5C bearings on this printer. I have the spec set up on the other V2, and both of them work well. It's one of those, you're not going to magically get better prints just by doing that. I want to both encourage the creativity around mods, but also discourage letting that be a barrier, wanting to do mods being a barrier to getting a working printer. Why is that one so... I think I've got an issue with some of these. Yeah, because that, I mean, that is tight. I think the hammerhead T-nut is what's causing my issues here. It doesn't want to go into the... Try over here. Here we go. I don't know what's going on. I'm sourcing, I tried it myself. All I am looking at to build are the end stop mods, Hark Z end stop, Randall X. What is the Randall XY end stop PCB? Is that the micro switch one? And the 4.3 wave share screen. That's a pretty good list right there. I'm running the Hark PCB, Z end stop PCB, I think in the orange Trident. I mentioned I wanted to test a few drag chain ends. Do you know of any that can be printed? There are some on user mods that can be printed. I think if I wanted to test them, it would have been just to confirm that they're a reasonable thing to recommend to people. Hi, Sean. There we go. That one went in. Do we have here? There we go. Hi, Faith. Actually swap the panels side to side. Oh well. Zarp, I'm finding more and more that I really need to, for your guys' sake, figure out a way to manage the stuff that I showcase here that isn't necessarily easy to find anywhere else. I recognize that that's something I need to work on. All the little things need to get out there and available. I recognize that. The lever casts, are those feet printed in TPU? Yep, they're a little custom foot that I made. I think they're superseded really by the guitar amplifier feet. But if somebody wanted to print them, I should make them available. There's no reason not to. I think I need to do a stream just on Loctiting these. Trying that setup. I don't have my Loctite anywhere handy right now. Yeah, what I would probably do is expand my existing user mods folder, but that puts a bit of a workload on folks that are approving those. So if you ever wanted the latest, you would just go directly to my repo, because you could look at what's going to be pulled. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for things to get to to the user mods to get approved. You can look at what the pull requests are and go directly to those folks' repos that they're basing the pull off of. Why is that one not? There we go. Yeah, things are scattered all over the place. Almost done here. Okay. Oh, where did I miss one? Oh, here. Okay. Quiet fan. It's a relief. Aster, did I get my camera situation figured out? I thought I did, until the power saving turned me off a little bit ago. I gotta figure out how to get all those, make sure that the changes I make save. I got a lot to learn on the camera and the whole setup. Okay, let me see. Do I have anything here? Let's get the printer. Let's get it preheating first. Zart JJ, the only one I have out there is in the user mods repo, and it'd be I think under STV PTRSN. Like, look a few messages up, Sanity put it in there. User mods and search for that. Delibercas, I have to find a front door mod for only one panel and not double-sided doors. If you look at the Voron 2.2, that was the default setup for that, was a single panel. And there's some mounting mechanisms. I've never built it, never used it, but that seems to be popular, is for people to just retain using the V2.2 version of the front panel. Stephen Mikado, Windows has an internal feature where device manager where it can power down USB devices to conserve power. I've never had that problem before. The USB device is a Elgato Camlink 4K, and even when I did the 10-hour stream, it never turned off from that. What's the difference between set 4mm panels or 2.5mm apart from the thickness? Are you talking in terms of printed part differences, or is it, I mean, you're going to have a difference in insulating properties between the thickness of those panels. And then for a 2.5mm panel, you could probably get away with the existing clips. The 4mm one, though, may be a little thick. So this is preheating. We were gonna go through the auto Z Calibrate process. I don't know if that's more useful or just starting a print. What do you guys want to see? Because this is already calibrated for Z. Do you want to just start at print? What do I need to print? What do we want to print then? Sanity, the 2.4R2 stuff will go on this printer. So this one I've been waiting to do that. What do we want to print? Any suggestions? I'll have to slice it on the other printer, but buggy parts. Buggy parts are going to be done on the Legacy. I haven't forgotten about that. Oh, that's what I can print. I need to print more of them anyway. So, let me do a quick slice and throw it over here. It's the Christmas ornament that I've been using, that I've been printing for family. I'll bring it up on Prusa printers, but let me slice it and throw it over here because apparently I've deleted my last time I printed that. Give me about half a second. Maybe a little more than half a second. Okay, sorry about that. I've got it sliced and over here. I've been printing this in glow in the dark. KVP glow in the dark, and I do have a hardened nozzle on this printer. John, thank you. Your streams are fine. No need for you to learn anything. I love watching them. Keep up the good work and have a beer on me. Thank you. I appreciate that. So the glow in the dark is abrasive, and I have a hardened nozzle on here. Okay, let's go here. This is still warming up. I printed, this was an ornament I printed for a couple of Christmases ago. I think you guys have seen this. It's got a little tree inside. I printed most of them in a clear filament. And this was an ornament I printed a couple of Christmases ago. It's got a clear PLA center, and then this is Protopasta candy apple red, I think. And then this was last year's ornament, of course. 2020 dumpster fire. Agent Kane, why doesn't your V2 have a stealth burner on it? It will. But I'm saving this printer for the wider 2.4R2 updates. So. So this is gonna take, we'll probably preheat this for about another, what are we at now? Are we at temperature? Yeah, we're at temperature, so we'll give it another 10 minutes or so. What was I thought there was another ornament I had printed. I don't know if I have if I remember it or have a copy of it here. Those might be all of them. Hey, let me clean that. Oh crap. My print on the other printer failed. I got a little spaghetti nest over there. Ooh, that's hot. That looks right, Zarp. That's got to be it. Show us. Don't know what happened. I need to do a little post-mortem, but so as an example, you know, one of the things that I ran into as some feedback from last week's Euclid stream was the Omron adapter didn't have clearance for the PCB nut, and there is a redesigned piece. And I don't believe, I looked at the design is solid. I don't believe the design was this fault. I think bed adhesion was my problem here. Yeah. So I'll figure that out and reprint it. This was the other thing I was printing, is the gold. This is KVP gold, and this is the shoulder pads for the 80% scale Nutcracker. And that finished. This was supposed to be the Omron. That's got a kind of a funny face. You know, we see faces everywhere on Voron, right? That's a big nose face. This is supposed to be the Euclid adapter for where it goes where the Omron probe goes. One of my top 3 favorite filaments. I really like the atomic carbon fiber ABS. I have printed a couple of my printers in that. One of my V0s and my original V2 are printed in that. I'm looking for a great metallic green, and I want it almost this almost this shade, this hue. Almost like the Mopar Sublime from the 60s. That metallic, shimmery green. That is my like this anodized green. That is my quest, is to find a filament like that. I've just, this isn't going to be that, but I bought this is Sparta's sparkle green. I'm really anxious to see what that looks like when it's printed. I'm looking a little brighter. This is Fusion Filaments tritium green. A little brighter green than this with a sparkle is what I'm kind of looking for. I'm pleased. The print quality, I have not changed a thing from my regular profile, and the print quality on this Sparta filament has been great. I don't know if you can. I'm really pleased with it. Maybe this will give you a better, the wall. Let's see if I can get some bad lighting angles in here. I mean, whoa, there goes a piece. That's the sparkle purple from Sparta. This printer here is a self-source. John, Sparta 3D is based in Canada, but their US shipping is reasonable. I bought 4 rolls and it shipped, it was $100. $104. I will probably be ordering more. I want to try their sparkle black. I want to see how I like it compared to Stellar Black in terms of the density of the sparkle in it. Stellar Black's pretty dense, and I think the Sparta is a little less dense but brighter in the sparkle. The upcoming, while we're still waiting for this to heat up a little more, the upcoming Voron 2 build I'm gonna do, I'm supposed to be doing, I'm going to print its parts. It'll be a blue frame. It'll be an LDO blue frame. I have a roll of Prusament Galaxy Black. I haven't printed it yet though. Where are my parts? LDO blue frame, and I think I'm gonna go a little off of my normal. My normal is like, I mean, graphite is stretching it for me. Usually I'm black, Stellar Black. But I'm going to go even further with like a gray as the primary color and Lulzbach green as the accent. I'm trying to find where I put my sample pieces that I printed. I printed a bunch of sample parts and I have no idea where I put them now. I feel like the Prusament Galaxy Black is almost dead on to the KVP Stellar Black in terms of the shade of black and the density of the sparkle in it. Oh, Dale Burkus, sorry. The upcoming V2 build will be a LDO kit. I'm supposed to be building a kit for providing final feedback to them. So this will be, and they've agreed to allow me to do it on stream. So it's not going to be a review of it. It's going to be going through with the intent of finding things that could be improved for the final product. That's already been going on. I will be getting just one later in the phases of doing that. My plan is to stream that daily. until it's built. So I'm hoping for not much more than a week worth of builds, because the intent really is not for me to stream a build, but for me to provide feedback on the kit. Peppy, thank you. I will do that. Zenbender, I've heard, I have not personally experienced this, but I've heard that there are some quality control issues going on with KVP. Everything I've received, I think for the most part, has been pretty solid, but I did hear there are some stellar blacks that got out there that were more gray than black, that kind of thing. Ken Gross, I don't know exactly when the switchwire kits are going to get to people. I think they're in the final stages. They should be coming out shortly before the Voron 2 kits. There was very little in real feedback on that. That build went very well. I mean, you guys saw me do it here on stream. That was a later phase test kit as well. John, I believe there are other manufacturers that are jumping on that train with colored frames. So I know like DFH is doing some colored frames for Micron, and I don't think those are LEO, but I'm not sure. And I don't have an idea of when these kits are actually going to make it. The world situation with shipping and supply sourcing is throwing wrenches in all the gears. So where are we at here? We've got, let me see, we've got about 12 minutes of pre-soak on this. Let's give it a couple more minutes before we start this. Let me glance over here. I want to find those sample prints. Here's one. So I'm going to go a little lighter gray than this, but Lulzbach green and gray with the, I don't have an example of the blue, but maybe we grab like, there's a anodized blue thing. I think that'll look pretty good. What do you think? Insanity, since I held up a screwdriver, I saw your question, I forgot to answer it. This is a team associated hobbyist, like RC car based driver. It's a 2.5 millimeter ball end hex wrench. It's just, I've got a whole collection of different types of hobbyists. RC cars are really where these are most common, I think. Drivers. Where are we at? Sean, I did my Legacy in Stellar Black and Stellar Red, and I like it. Oh, there's my... One of the other options I was looking at is that is a little light, though, I thought, on the light. So that's metallic silver from KVP. That's one that I do notice some variation in coloring, and that's another reason why I didn't choose to go with it. Do I have a parts cooling fan for ABS? Yes, I do run a parts cooling fan. I usually run it, depends on the particular cooling setup. 30 or 40%. How do you label your wires in the electronics bay? I bought one of these. Brother P-Touch label maker, and the generic heat shrink labels work without any special thing, so that's what I use. Okay, let's get this print moving. I don't think you guys really care to see the interface for this. You'd probably rather watch it do its thing. So let's do... Yep, we are good. Let's run through the process. The Brother label makers aren't too bad. I think that one was right about $100, but you can get much less expensive ones that do the same, have the same cartridge compatibility. So I do use those white labels, print-on labels for main marking, but I bought a selection of real small diameter colored heat shrink tubes so I can label or at least identify individual wires. So like in my stepper wiring, I use the red, blue, and green on the wires so I can identify each end. Machinza, I think the microphone's amplifying the sound. It's not that bad in person. I do need to bump up the homing speeds. I've done that on the Tridents. I got them all moving pretty quick, but that was 0.05. So it's got another trip around the bases. And you never, while it's printing, you never hear this sound. Z moves are so short and infrequent. Yeah, did I get a retry in there? I didn't pay attention. No, I don't see a retry. It's got another round. My microphone is on the camera here, but it's directional, so it's pointing pretty much directly at the at the printer right now. I need to improve my... Oh, it's 3... I haven't had any of them retry. It's 3 probes per thing. At least according to the console, it's not retrying. Oh, you're right, Chris. I did move that around. That was actually an unintentional good test. I moved that thing all the way around and it was still able to grab the dock. Now it's going to do the bed mesh. So what I was saying is that microphone is one of the areas that I'll be improving my stream. I've gotten caught in a lot of simultaneous projects right now. Just all this Christmas printing has kept me hopping, and getting ready for the stealth burner release and printing those test parts. And, cold coffee. Oh, based on Nero doing that, I did this. Yeah, for sure. The same thing that he built on stream, I built one of these because it's pretty well done, it's so easy to make, and it works really well. Sanity, thanks for that. Don't strain yourself too much and burn out. We like to chill with you. I appreciate that. I do feel a little bit of, well, I want to have something to go every weekend, but I need to make sure that I don't push that too much. I want to be okay with maybe skipping a weekend if I don't have things to do. I really wanted to follow up on the Euclid stuff, and the other content today, putting in the lights and stuff, are all things that I've been wanting to do on this printer anyway. But okay, so now I'll just start my print. So all that's done. Now it's going to do the auto Z Calibrate. So it's going to probe the nozzle first. Hi Ockert, welcome to the stream. Zenbender, I have a print prep macro that I run. Now it's going to probe the switch body. I have a print prep macro that I run that basically just homes, QGLs, and bed mesh. And that's all it does. So I run that, it does all that, then I start my print, and the Auto Z Calibrate is in the print start G-code. And I have a larger as allowed offset for some reason. It aired out. Why did it air out? Did I have something? Let me run this again. It says offset is larger than allowed. Offset is minus 1.629. The max deviation is 1.5. I'm getting a bunch of retries on the probe. Why? I've got a problem with my Z end stop. It's not the... Why is it doing that? Why would it do that? What did I change? Maybe but it should have deracked with the... Here, let's put the dock or the probe away. Let's run through my print prep again. I know this is painful because it's slow. So what it's doing and what it's airing out on has nothing to do with the Euclid probe. It's probing the nozzle to the Z end stop switch. So it's not a magnet thing. It's not. No, nothing's touching. It's doing this okay. Hopefully this is just one trip around the bases. I'll watch it closer on this next run. Troy, there should be a home Z after the QGL. I probably commented that out when I was making changes. Let me fix that. Because I don't think it's doing that home after QGL in my print prep macro. I think I accidentally yeah, because there it is. It's just going straight to the bed mesh now instead of homing. It should have homed. Let me fix that. I'm just gonna cancel it and start the, here, let's go through. Let's set my, so I don't lose my temperature. Go down to my configuration and down in my print prep macro. This has been edited many times, so I need, right here, I need to have a G28. Save and restart that. Let's do a, so the, let's get my preheat. Grab the crap off the jewel off the nozzle. And now it's got the Euclid probe on there right now. So we should be able to still run through my print prep and it should know what to do. Let's find out. It's gonna home, and homing is okay with that on there. Yeah, the spring steel isn't even close to the end stop on here. Now it should, yep, go straight because it knows it already has it. So now it's gonna go into the QGL. You guys are talking about hooking up 5-volt power to a Raspberry Pi. I do something, I bought, let me see if I can find an example. Now it's doing the home in between that I put back in, and then it should grab it again for the bed mesh. So it's doing a bed mesh. While it's doing that, something I've done for my setups in the past is the challenge is going from, so you can hook up a Pi a couple of ways. You can go through the power input USB port on the Pi, or you can go through the GPIO. GPIO on the newer Pis is just fine. You don't gain any additional protection. I think they stopped doing that in the Pi 3B, was the last one that had any kind of protection on the power input. So if you're using a Pi 4, then GPIO or USB input, there's no difference. If you really want to use the USB input, what I've done is bought these little USB breakout boards and wire that into the power supply, and then you just get a regular USB port. You can use any power cable to go from here to the Pi. And I took this case apart and just put a screw in, making sure I wasn't anywhere that it could short out. And I had a little printed part, little custom printed part. And this is what I used on my original Voron for a long time. So, and then it gives you just regular USB-A or whatever part. These are all over the place. AliExpress, Amazon, just look for USB breakout board. And it'll give you just a spot to solder your wires to, and then I took those to the output on the power supply. The idlers I was showing earlier, this one is KVP light metallic silver, I think it is. And the other one was Battleship Gray. But for the final parts, I'm gonna go, okay, so that's done that. Now I can start the print shop. For the final parts, I'm gonna go with a lighter gray. So now it's gonna do the auto Z Calibrate again, and let's see if it actually does it. Now in that case, it didn't retry on the nozzle probe, so let's see if this takes care of it. I think that, yep, the homing in between after QGL was the problem. It was self-inflicted, so now it's going to go. That travel move is defined in the Euclid config, which is set up way faster than the rest of my configs. So let's see. I don't know how well that's going to do. Is that good? Hey, Ricardo. That's funny you should say that. Polymaker Gray ABS is almost an exact match for... There, let's go there. Polymaker Gray ABS. That's what I'm going to print, the gray. I just got this in the mail 2 days ago. The camera's not doing a terrible job with the autofocus. Dark neutrino panels are not required, however, the deck panel is. The clear enclosure panels are not required. The deck panel is required. Separating the electronics from your work area is required. Sean, I wouldn't be concerned about the power in protection. I'd be more concerned about actually being able to get a Pi right now. Lucian, I forgot to put a home move after the QGL. So it was going from a quad gantry level straight to the bed mesh, and then straight to the Calibrate Z. So it needs that home after the QGL to zero out everything. And especially when so that clicking is the mesh. It's the Z drives working on the mesh. Especially when I had manually moved the gantry as much as I did. So home, QGL, home, bed mesh print is what I do. In this case, it's home, QGL, home, bed mesh, auto Z Calibrate print. I just run the full G28. I don't know that it knows X and Y, so a G28Z would work. I just do the home haul. So I am printing right now. Let me find it. I think I got it off Prusa Printers. Here, let's switch over for a second. And I was just searching for ornaments, and I thought this one looked cool. Pretty sure if I search for star ornament, I'll find it. I should probably put these in like a favorites so they're easier to find later. Let me see. There's all kinds of ornaments here. I searched for a while. I don't see it yet. I'm almost certain it was here. Let me see. Maybe there's a better... What was the file name on this thing? What was the file names? Just star. Here's the... you can barely see it. It's a print in place. It rotates around itself. Print in place star. Let's try that. Maybe it was Thingiverse. It's the wrong computer is the problem. I know it was. It's a wrong computer to search in my web history. What if I... Will they search the file names? Nope. I think I must have scrolled past it because I don't... Here, maybe I did this. When I was looking for Christmas ornaments, I searched for Christmas ornament. So let's go that route. Did I get to the... Their search is a little weird. Knowing when you get into a collections list rather than just the things. Pass it. And I found this for someone else just the other day. It's a little ridiculous. Let me try something. try something else. I'm switching over because I don't want to accidentally show something wrong on the screen. I know I sent the link to somebody, so I'm going to go that route. My web history on this computer is clean. Hi, Felena. Let me see. Just a second. Doing a Discord search here. Okay, maybe I'm not. Is Discord search still broken? Is Discord search? Oh. Well, that's not helpful. Here, you don't want to see me. Well, let's just see the... Watch the print at least. Took me less time to find this when I wanted to find it the first time. So, this is not the exact one that I downloaded, but it's basically this. It's a print in place, it spins around, but this is not what I'm printing right now. I'm a little puzzled why I'm having so much trouble finding it. Yeah, apparently. And I'm being jinxed by the stream. Everybody's watching. At least nobody's laughing, right? Right? Here's what I'll do. I will edit the description of this video after stream with a link to it. I will edit that after stream with a link because I'm done looking. Let me go grab it though. I'll show you the finished. I've got a few of them printed. Prusa search. Oh, is this? Oh, let me try this Prusa search. Oh, maybe spinning? I like that. Spinning star? Well, there you are. Who was that? Keith. Thank you. This one. Snowflake star spinning decoration. This is what I'm printing. Thank you very much. That was very helpful. Spinning star is what I searched for. It's a decent print. It's a little finicky on breaking loose, but on the ABS prints I've had the most luck. The PLA ones were a little harder to break loose. They were fine at full scale, but I've been printing them smaller than full scale, and I'll show you why, because I've got a full scale one and a partial scale one. But yeah, this is what it is. Snowflake star spinning decoration. So let me grab the ones I've already printed. So this is full scale, and it's a neat. Oh, that's a fairly large ornament though, and I've been printing most of them. This is the ABS, the glow in the dark ABS. I think this is 80% scale or 75% scale. But yeah. And I printed one, and this is PLA. This one was tough to break loose without breaking, but this is some silk gold generic, like Amazon silk gold PLA with some little bit of stringing. This is I believe this is Jessie, their transparent green PLA. And I've got to print a few more of these, so this is good for this to be a good on-stream print. We probably won't see this all the way through. At least not on stream. Because this is, I'm guessing this is another hour. This will take another hour. We won't be on here for another hour. Maybe let's give it another 10 minutes or so, if you guys want to chat. Oh, this is a good idea. I can post links in chat. Thanks, Linus, for the reminder. There you go. That's the link to the print. So I was talking a little bit earlier about the MakerBot. Here, let me bring this up because there's a few people that weren't on stream earlier. The MakerBot Nutcracker. I think it's a really well done model. Let me bring it up. No, that's not the one. What did I do? What did I do wrong on my search? Did I misspell it? Okay, I'm jinxed. There we are. So this guy, I've printed over the years several of these. Prior to this year, I've mostly been PLA. This year I did all ABS. Got some skin. This is eSun Skin ABS. But the rest of it's a combination of KVP and Sparta. Like this is KVP Bright White or Arctic White or something. And then these are all Stellar Black. I've got two different scales here. I've got an 80% scale and a 100% scale. And this is Stellar Red, and this is Sparta Sparkle Fluorescent Red. Let's go back to... Need to work on my Google foo. My prusaprinters.org foo, apparently. I feel like my Google foo is reasonable. And a little spat stick on the autofocus there. So, Sean, that... Are we talking about the... Are you talking about the Sparta or the Stellar, the KVP? Because the thing about this... let's go here. There's the sparkles. It's hidden a little bit in the light because there's a texture to the model. The model has that rough cloth, felt texture to it. But I do think that the KVP sparkles tend to be very, very dense and harder to see. Maybe you can see them there on the more flat surface. You can get those a little bit. Where the Sparta stuff is a little larger flakes and not quite as dense, so they stand out more. Yeah. It's the same deal with the... You can see them, but they're a lot smaller flakes. I still think it looks good. There is... What did I... Oh, let me see if we can get a good shot of this. The red here, that's Sparta's regular, I don't know what they call it. It's just a sparkle red. The other one was sparkle cherry red. This might be sparkle fluorescent red. I'll have to find the box. Yeah. Yeah, the lighter one is sparkle fluorescent red and the darker one is sparkle cherry red. Sparta Sparkle Apple Green. Are you talking about apple green, or is there an apple green as well as a candy green? Because I have the sparkle candy green. Do you print PETG? I have more PETG than I want, because I spend a lot of time in the Prusa community, and I've grown very much out of love with PETG. Just the amount that it sticks to the nozzle and just kind of that residue that gets everywhere. I'm not a... And it really does need to be dried to print well. Otherwise you get those little retraction growths. I have some Sane Smart black PETG that I was printing some pieces in. and it was terrible. The stringing was terrible, so I dried it overnight, and the next print was absolutely wonderful. No stringing whatsoever, no other changes, same G code. And the next day I went to print again, and I was getting those strings, retraction strings again. Massage, glowing ABS also needs a harder nozzle. Yes. So glow in the dark filament has a, what is that in it? It's a, I don't remember what it is, but it's harder than a brass nozzle. So you need a hardened nozzle. I've been printing those Dino Clips with the PET G I have, because it seems to work really well. Let me see if I can find one. I mean, I gotta say, the translucent, that color PET G is just beautiful. Just that shimmery effect that you get with it is so awesome. And this is the Dino Clip. I can find this one. Let's see if the stream jinx is real. So this is the Dino Clip. There's a bunch of remixes of it now. But this is a super popular print at my work. I just print them out, and that's what I'm using up all my PET G on, is print them out and give them away. Here, before someone asks, I'll throw this in. This is a really cool print, though. Print in place. Yeah, you're right, Ken. This is this is you're not. It's not. This is some generic red Yoyi. Starts with a Y. This is a starts with a Y, but it's a generic PET G on Amazon. But I have printed, and I have some carmine red PET G, and it looks similar, but a little more sparkle to it. I really like the carmine red PET G. That's probably one that I won't immediately just use up to get rid of it. I'll keep it around for anything I might need or want to do. Troy J, I don't think the UV reactive ingredient is abrasive, so I think you're fine. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong, though. Chris, I redid both Pruses I've built. I've redid an ABS. I didn't have to do anything special. I just printed the parts and they worked. The printer that I built, that I used all the parts to build my first switch wire, I rebuilt and sold to a friend. That one's all ABS and still working. And then my remaining Prusa is all ABS and it's fine. KR Barth, how many rolls of filament do I currently have? I think right around 120. Let me see if I can. That's one rack of filament right there, along with some miscellaneous prints. And then I have a cabinet with a bunch of filament in it, and then I have some bins with a bunch of filament in it. And then I have filament on the floor here and on a printer over there. And yeah, I was right. It's YOYI is the brand. of that red PETG. Y-O-Y-I. Yo-yi. So let me hit a couple more questions here before we call it. Do you have any dry boxes, or how do you store them? Vacuum bags. The PETG I'm storing in these bins. So here's the Prusament Carmine Red, the Prusament Green PETG, and then this is a Sane Smart Transparent. But these bins is what I keep the PETG in to give them. And most of these bins, I have this one for some reason I don't. I have one of those little desiccant, rechargeable desiccant things. Then I just printed started printing one of these, and this is a Thingiverse model. I'm not gonna even jinx myself by saying I'll search for it, but it's got a little desiccant holder here. But that's the Rubbermaid 21 cup, whatever. How did you fit the Bowden connector on your Clockwork? Is it a special file? That's another one of those special things that I haven't uploaded. The problem with that one, though, is it uses a hard to find heat set insert that comes from the Prusa ecosystem of parts. It's the same little heat set and what is the Festo? I think Festo is the brand. Festo connector, the Bowden coupling there. So it's not, you kind of have to have that combination of parts to use it. Now it could easily be adapted to some other setup. So it's probably something I should upload. Strontium Illuminate. That's yeah. Thank you. Sean, those caps are, I modeled them and printed them in TPU. Those are just a modeled part that I printed in TPU. The Viperman, I almost exclusively use Fusion 360. It's where all my files are now. It's what I know. It's what I learned on. I wouldn't mind getting comfortable with something like SolidWorks, but I just haven't had time. Message, that the Triangle Labs coupler would probably adapt to this pretty well. I don't think it would be too hard to make that fit. So Sean, Fusion 360 has a free maker's license. You have to renew it, and they change the rules. The problem is they change the rules, and that's the thing that kind of makes me hesitant to jump ship from Fusion 360 to like the SolidWorks maker's license, which is a small fee. I think it's like $99 a year or something. Is that right? But SolidWorks or Autodesk has changed the rules. SolidWorks is going to change the rules. I feel like if I switch, something's going to happen over there that's similar or same as what caused me to want to switch in the first place. So I kind of feel like the safe bet is to just stick where I'm at, where I'm comfortable. Have a good one, Philip. Thank you. I think we're going to call it here. Once again, thank you everyone for attending. Hopefully we had fun, learned a few things. I'm got a bunch of stuff coming up. Hopefully the Voron 2 LDO kit comes in pretty soon, and that'll be a fun build. Once again, if you guys have a user mod you want me to highlight, as long as you're not offended as long as you're not too concerned if I decide not to do it on stream. I want to, things that I think are well done, I want to highlight here. It doesn't mean that if I don't highlight here, it's not well done. It's just not something that I necessarily want to cover maybe yet. So, I guess, leave comments, shoot me a message if you want to see something. I will consider everything. Yeah, my Fusion 360 license is still the startup license, so fortunately I haven't had to deal with the free license restrictions, but I use it enough. If they don't renew that for me, I think I'm going to pay for it. I think it's worth it. So it's not, they hold 20 and 30% off sales all the time, which puts it into the few $100s a year range. Hi, David from Portugal. And with that, I think we're going to call it. So once again, thanks. We will see you next time. Have a good one.